When a sitting attorney general tells a U.S. senator that district courts are tying our hands and openly defies Congress on violence against women protections, we're witnessing something unprecedented: the systematic dismantling of judicial independence in real time. What Senator Murray uncovered in this exchange isn't just bureaucratic resistance, it's a roadmap for how democratic institutions collapse from within.
We're joined by the Vice Chairman of the full committee. Senator Murray is recognized.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Attorney General Bondi, we are in a deeply alarming moment where law and order is being replaced by chaos and corruption and really whatever Trump wants. And your department's independence and its capacity to do its job have eroded before our eyes. We have seen respected career officials who've been fired for doing their job. Thousands more are being pushed out with your buyouts and the threat of mass firings, and entire divisions are being eliminated, and grants have been canceled illegally. So I have questions about how and why those decisions are being made, and importantly, whether you're adequately resourcing DOJ to do its job. But before I turn to my questions, I do want to raise my alarm about the troubling pattern of trampling basic rights. Detainees, including U.S. citizens, being shipped overseas without any due process. Elected officials are detained for conducting oversight, and a U.S. senator gets tackled to the ground for asking questions at a press conference. This is not the country I know or the values I believe in, and I hope that colleagues on both sides of the aisle will agree with that. Now, to the questions. Yesterday, and I know that Senator Van Hollen raised this issue, a former DOJ attorney filed a protected whistleblower complaint accusing Deputy AG Emil Bove and senior DOJ leadership of defying court orders, including through, quote, lack of candor, deliberate delay, and disinformation, unquote. The complaint also accuses this administration of firing the whistleblower for, quote, telling the truth to the court. These allegations are deeply concerning. Now, I know you said that you can't discuss the case, but can you confirm that you agree that this administration should follow court orders?
We will follow court orders, Senator. The entire administration will follow court orders. The problem arises in the district courts. All these district courts throughout the country are tying our hands. But here's how we will follow them when we get to the United Supreme Court.
I need to ask
we're winning.
A number of questions.
And so, yes,
I know
we're following the orders of the court.
Let me ask my questions. Can you confirm you will not allow any conduct like what is alleged to continue at the DOJ?
I'm not going to talk about anything that's alleged. What I will talk about with you, hold on, you asked me a question and I get to answer it. What you asked me, alleged conduct that's part of a pending whistleblower lawsuit that was filed on the eve prior to Emil Bove's hearing today.
I'm not asking
highly
about that
suspicious.
Case
Hold on, let me keep going.
Attorney
I would
General
run
Bondi,
through a wall for
my
Emil
time,
Bove
Mr. Chairman,
and
and I
Todd
would like
Blanche.
to continue with my questions. I have very limited time. Thank you. I just want you to confirm for this you will not allow conduct like that at the DOJ. Yes or no?
I will always support and defend Emil Bove, and I will defend Todd Blanche. They are two of the finest people I know and two of the ethical people I know.
I was asking about the conduct. Let me keep going here. Now, in April, DOJ abruptly terminated over 300 public safety grants that had already gone through a very rigorous and fair and apolitical application process with no explanation. This is funding to investigate and prosecute drug trafficking, to support foster care kids who experienced abuse or neglect, to expand access to forensic exams to prosecute violent crimes like sexual assault. These really senseless cancellations have already forced public safety organizations to cut employees and services. So I want to ask you, when you cut off the community-based violence intervention and prevention initiative funding, were you aware it is used to prevent and reduce violent crime?
Yeah, Senator, you weren't here for that, so I'm going to have to repeat myself. We have cut grants. I think we've cut 6%. But if we have cut a grant that you feel should not be cut, please reach out to me. I will personally look at it. We've turned multiple grants back on. We have an appeal process, but if you want to come to me directly, I would be happy to sit down with you and look at that and help you.
I'm happy. I appreciate
Again, we're
that,
doing everything we can.
Okay, but let me just ask you, when you cut off the expanding access to sexual assault forensic examination grant, were you aware that that grant helps our authorities prosecute rape and sexual assault?
I have no idea about that specific grant you're talking about. That's why I said, if you want to come sit down with me, I would never cut a grant intentionally that has anything to
those
do.
Recipients on the other end across the country.
Can you give me the details of that grant?
I can absolutely do that, and my staff will get that to you, but those are two critical ones that I just wanted to ask you about today.
Again, we've turned many grants back on, and we'll continue to. If you want to call me, and we can discuss them with you.
Okay, in your budget request, you propose consolidating the Office on Violence Against Women into the Office of Justice Programs. In 2002, Congress actually codified the office as a permanent, separate, and independent office to implement the Violence Against Women Act. We did that to make sure that violent crimes against women receive the necessary attention, expertise, and resources, and to give the office a strong, independent voice within the Justice Department and federal government. Now your department wants to fade that into the OJP, which violates the intent of the law that we passed. It makes grant programs less effective, and it places a lot more barriers for victims and services they need. And I see that you're cutting the office's resources by about a third. So will you commit to us, the Appropriations Committee, to follow the law and maintain OVW as a separate grant entity?
I will follow the law, but I will not keep that as a separate grant entity. You and I can disagree all day long on what the law is.
Well,
that's being consolidated into the Office of Justice Programs.
So
I'm not going to cut, let me answer, I'm not going to cut anything that's going to hurt violence against women.
Not my question.
It will eliminate
I'm asking, just for your information, Attorney General, in 2002, we codified the office as a permanent, separate, and independent office. So that you need to go back and take a look at that. I know my time is out, but I thank you very much for the time.
What Senator Murray exposed wasn't just another political disagreement about budgets or procedures. It was a systematic demonstration of how institutional independence erodes when personal loyalty replaces professional obligation. Murray methodically walked through 3 distinct patterns of institutional breakdown, each more concerning than the last. The first pattern involves judicial defiance disguised as jurisdictional disputes. When Bondi said district courts are tying our hands and promised compliance only when we get to the United States Supreme Court, she wasn't describing legal strategy. She was announcing selective enforcement based on political convenience. Court orders bind executive agencies regardless of which level issues them. A district court injunction carries the same legal weight as a Supreme Court decision until overturned. Bondi's answer reveals an administration viewing judicial oversight as an obstacle to circumvent. The second pattern involves personnel protection prioritizing personal relationships over accountability. When Murray pressed about whistleblower allegations involving Deputy AG Amal Bouv, Bondi's response was telling. I would run through a wall for Amal Bouv and Todd Blanche. That's not legal defense, it's personal loyalty sidestepping the question about whether DOJ leadership defied court orders through lack of candor, deliberate delay, and disinformation. Bondi's reflexive protection sends a clear message: personal loyalty matters more than institutional integrity. The third pattern involves resource manipulation to achieve political ends without legislative approval. Murray's questions about grant cancellations revealed something more sophisticated than budget cuts. The administration terminated over 300 public safety grants that had completed rigorous apolitical review processes, strategic eliminations of programs that didn't align with political priorities, including violence intervention and sexual assault, Forensic examination funding. When Murray asked if Bondi knew what these grants actually did, Bondi's answer was revealing, "I have no idea about that specific grant." That's willful ignorance used as political cover. Perhaps most concerning was Bondi's handling of the Office on Violence Against Women consolidation. Congress established OVA as an independent entity in 2002 to ensure violence against women receives dedicated attention within DOJ. Bondi's plan to fold it into the larger Office of Justice programs isn't bureaucratic reorganization, it's legislative nullification through administrative action. When Murray pointed out that Congress codified the office's independence, Bondi responded, "You and I can disagree all day long on what the law is. That's open defiance of congressional intent." These patterns reveal a broader strategy, using administrative power to achieve political goals that couldn't be accomplished legislatively. Courts are ignored when inconvenient. Personnel decisions prioritize loyalty over competence. Resources are redirected without congressional approval. The result is an executive branch operating like a private organization rather than a public institution serving constitutional principles. The consequences extend beyond Washington. When prosecutors see whistleblowers fired, they learn to stay silent. When grant recipients lose funding without explanation, they learn public safety depends on political alignment. When agencies ignore court orders, officials learn legal compliance is optional. Each breakdown creates precedent for further erosion. Murray's questioning exposed how quickly norms collapse when leadership undermines them. The Attorney General's role isn't just enforcing law, it's modeling respect for legal process. When that fails, damage cascades through the justice system. This wasn't about policy differences, but whether institutions can survive leaders viewing constitutional constraints as political inconveniences.